Hey everybody, I'm Jack Rita with Future Pastimes. I'm a board game designer working on a lot of Dune-themed games, among other things. I want to talk a little bit about what's going to be going down on this channel this week. We're continuing to read Dune, so I have my old tattered copy of Dune. It's falling apart. I'm going to be getting a new copy, but we'll keep reading this one. We're doing 2 chapters a week on Dune, so Mondays and Fridays. Which gives you enough time to read a chapter over the weekend, and we'll get the recap on Monday. And then you've got a few more days during the week before the Friday recap of the following chapter. So it's a pretty good pace. I could certainly read it much faster. I'm reading 2 or 3 other books at the same time, reading a lot of Conan the Barbarian books. I've got the complete works of Robert E. Howard, which I realized I hadn't read all of his works. I have a lot of Conan comic books, and they adapt a lot of his work. So I'm familiar with all the stories, but I've gone on a kick on that. So I've been reading a lot of those, and I've ordered a bunch of books, used copies of books on eBay. Because you know what, I've got a huge collection of Dune books, and I've decided I'd like to have a huge collection of Conan books too. I really have always really liked Conan, so getting into that as well. But back to Dune. In addition to reading it, there's going to be several Dune videos this week. I'm going to be starting a new series of deep dives on the homeworld. So the homeworlds are something from expansion 3. You've got these great homeworld tokens where you put your reserves, and let you know, in case you can't recognize that that's Wallach 9, it tells you on the back. But there's some really cool new effects in the game. It's probably one of the more sophisticated variants to Dune, although it's not really that hard. It's actually pretty easy to figure out. But I think it's one more thing that you're really needing to pay close attention to. And so that's what I think elevates the sophistication level for it. But we're going to do a planet-by-planet breakdown, and we're going to go in order of the factions. So we're starting with Caladan, which is the homeworld of House Atreides. So I'll talk about their high threshold effect, which is if you have a certain number of reserves there, you will get that additional effect. But the low threshold effect is often a penalty, and that is when you have a low number of your reserves there. So, and that's what's really going to make this important for the gameplay, is that you're going to be having to deal with a handicap when you really go for it. We bring a bunch of forces onto Arrakis. There's going to be some trouble at home, and it may interfere with some of your ability to do things. It also opens you up to attack, so players are able to attack each other's homeworlds. So it really opens up the game. So I'll be talking about what each homeworld does in terms of its different effects and what happens if you occupy another player's homeworld. There will also be some other Dune videos this week. So we're going to continue the Power Alliance series, introducing a Moritani into the mix. So we're going to do a Moritani alliance with another faction, and there will be several more of those coming in, just because the combinations with 12 different factions, that's a lot of combinations. So we will dive into this series some more with alliances with Ikaz and alliances with Moritani, and one with them allied to each other eventually. But there are other combinations with the original factions and the previous 2 expansions. So we're not done with that series by a long shot. I am also going to do a focused video, and this is based on a question that I got on a comment from something else, some other video here on the channel, and it's talking about some of the antics that can happen through the Moritani and Ikaz ability to form alliances outside of the Nexus. So there's some interesting things that can go on there, and there's certainly some nuances. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, and get some insights into it. Hopefully head off questions that may come up. I'm sure there will be more, and keep asking those questions, because I'll do some more videos on that. But we haven't forgotten about Cosmic Encounter, so I'm doing another video. It's going to be part of a 3-part series that focuses on homebrews, but not just pure homebrews. Well, it'll make sense when you see the first one, and the other 2, you'll be like, all right, I know where he's going with that. So that's what you can expect this week. I'll probably post a few more shorts as well. Those are just spur of the moment, whatever. I'm looking around my office and game room and go, oh, here's something that's probably not worth a whole long video, but between 15 seconds and a minute, sure, I'll focus on that. And I'm still waiting on some boxes for my new solution on storing the faction. So it's going to be similar to this. This is a Moritani faction, so it's got the homeworld card in it and the homeworld, the leaders, the forces, the terror tokens. This is for a deck of cards, so it's going to be similar to that. But once I'm going to get a uniform set, and then I'm going to make those stickers to put on there, as if I wouldn't be able to tell which faction is which. Of course, when the box is empty, you don't know. Not that you couldn't just use whatever, but I definitely have OCD, so I'm going to try to make this work as much as I can. So if you've got questions about anything that have to do with any of the Future Pastimes games, let me know in the comments, and I'll put a video together if I can to address it. It may be a short video if it's just a real simple, yes, you can do that. But we do have the expansion 3 come out, so I know that there's going to be a lot of questions. As stuff comes up on Board Game Geek, I try to address that there as well, but it may also precipitate me making a video to deal with that as well. One thing I will point out that has been mentioned, and it's this idea of the sloppy production value on expansion 3. Is it true? And the answer is yes and no. The faction sheets are definitely bigger. So I'll give an example here. I mean, they're the same height, but they're longer. And I'm not sure if it's, I mean, it certainly could be because there's a lot more text on there, but there's some white space on there. But with the 2 factions, they may have said, you know what, we need to go to a bigger sheet. I did not know that when it got out. In fact, when we did the unboxing at Gen Con, I didn't even notice it. And we played a couple of games with all the new stuff, so I didn't know that as well. And also the leader discs, they were punched from a different direction. Also something I hadn't noticed, and so I'll be the first to agree that it would be great for that to be consistent. But for me, at the end of the day, I don't really care that they were punched from a different direction. They still fit into the dial just fine. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but I think that, it's still a great expansion. There's so much value in that box to begin with. And I know that I'm biased, but I'm still really proud of, what Future Pastimes has done on that expansion and everything that's in it. And I'm really pleased with Gale Force 9, giving us free reign to just pack more stuff in there. There was not as much stuff that was going to be in that expansion, but like, for instance, the discovery tokens were not going to be part of that. It was something I was like, yeah, I'll work on that for a possible 4th expansion. But then I was like, oh, maybe, because it was pretty much ready to go. It hadn't been play tested a lot, but we had a lot of time still before the actual last drop dead date for the turning it all in. So the playtesters were quite keen to try it out. So we immediately threw it into the mix. It's a very low impact element. It's easy to understand. It's easy to implement. So we're like, all right, let's throw it in there. And it was just a matter of, we knew that we were going to need more punch board just because of the homeworlds. So I started doing some punch board arrangement in Photoshop to go, can we fit all these tokens? And originally the ambassador tokens were actually not going to be their own tokens. I was just going to use the second copy of everyone's faction markers. So if you've got Dune and any of the expansions, you'll know that each faction has 2 faction markers, one of which you use to mark your spot on the board. What is the other one for? It's just an extra. So I was like, well, here we go. We'll just use those. But I liked to be able to turn them face down after they have been used so that you can keep track of which ones have been triggered and which ones haven't been triggered. And that way, when you know that you've triggered all 5 of the non-ECAS ambassadors, you get to shuffle those back in with the others and draw 5 again. And you may get some of the same ones you had before. You may get all new ones. So it made more sense to use different tokens. So I was packing that into the punch board as well to just say, can everything fit in there? Terror tokens, discovery tokens, forces, leaders. There's an extra leader with Duke Vidal. But we did it, and I mean, I was like, theoretically, this could happen. And Gale Force 9, I think they did a good job arranging it. So I think, why was it reversed? I think it was just a matter of arranging it all in there. And, it was a different setup than the previous expansions were. So I think that's where, things, I don't want to say they went off the rails, but, again, I think it's pretty minor element. So yeah, you can say that it was sloppy. I think it was just, it was just a minor oversight. But again, that's my opinion. I love the expansion. I don't think that the baby nor the bathwater needs to get thrown out on that one. But let me know your thoughts in there. Again, yeah, would be great if it were consistent. Same size sheets, same size punch board, pressing. I guess there's people who sleeve those sheets. I obviously don't. And it never occurred to me, and I still would have no interest in doing it. They don't get handled so much that I feel like they need sleeves. But maybe you're like eating spaghetti at the table while you're playing, and absolutely you'd want to sleeve those sheets if that's the case. I don't know. Again, no judgment if you like to sleeve them. I don't sleeve the cards either. There's only a couple of games that I sleeve cards, so I'm just not in the habit of that. But it's something I'm trying to be more aware of. So as we work with Gale Force 9 or any publisher on anything that has cards, we're like, all right, let's think about the insert. Is it going to fit sleeved cards as well? So, that doesn't help anybody now, but we are listening and paying attention and trying to incorporate all that into there. So, like I said, you got questions, comments, concerns, stuff that you would like to see a video on, or just want to air out your grievances, feel free to do so in the comments. But I'm mostly interested in, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to see videos on? Power Alliances will keep going. We'll go deep dive on all of those homeworlds. We'll do deep dive, of course, on all the Discovery tokens and the Nexus cards as well. I've done some videos on those, but I want to go into it more. And the last thing that I will say is that we're going to start up a feature here pretty soon, giving it the tentative title of Dune Battle Language. And it's going to be more of a forum where I will discuss certain things for Dune, strategy, features, the design process with playtesters, and eventually with other people who just want to be part of the discussion. So we will probably use Tabletop Simulator as an environment where we can do some show and tell, especially as we're going to have guests in Discord discussing it. And it'll resemble the playthroughs, but we're not actually going to play. We're just going to be having a discussion and talking about stuff. And I don't know that I will try to do that as a YouTube live thing. I'm still not quite comfortable with that, and not sure how I would orchestrate everything. Maybe if we get Greg Alaka from Future Pastimes involved in some of these, we might Twitch it, and then we've got the live Twitch for the handfuls of people, maybe a single handful of person that sits in on that and wants to comment on it. But we'll have a video, and then you can leave comments as well. So it may not be immediate gratification, but we'll get into that, and you'll see who's involved on the first one of those. Haven't scheduled when that's going to happen, but I'll let you know when it does. That's it for this video. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you again soon.